Good morning, everyone. My name is Daniel Concepcion. I am in charge of the IT management in Product One. Product One is, is a. I expect that no one knows us because we basically don't have any website. We don't have anything. We are the IT shop of Santander Group. We don't have any other customers. We sell it internally to Santander Group. Then that is the reason that if someone's looking for Product One on internet, you don't find anything or as few things at all. But we have a very big operation with Santander. Well, the Ignacio asked me to give this keynote. One of the problems that they face is, how are you going to address a technical guys? My last time with doing technical C was like 6 years ago. Then I trying to do my best, be busy with me. The goal is more trying to explain the problem from enterprise point of view, what we think that is the cloud. I think that we receive a lot of vendors every month trying to explain the cloud. Every one of them have their own idea. Every one of them want to sell us something new. Every one of them change for the roadmap from the products and get the new hot thing in order to get the selling. I am trying to explain what was our road in this journey, and why we are here with the OpenNebula team and with you guys trying to work together and make this a reality inside of our company. At first, I would like to give a few facts about our environment to understand the kind of operation that we have. I think this is not the typical internet scale operation. We are a typical enterprise shop. We have thousands of applications, and most of them have been standardized in one way or another, but we have a lot of things that are unique. Then we try to address these problems with our approach. And I'll give you an idea about where we Product One, where is Product One, and what are our numbers. We have more or less 5,500 employees around the globe. These are employees related with IT operations. Then we have a huge IT strength in the companies. And this is the kind of operation that we do for the banks. We have more or less near 15,000 branches, a lot of PCs, and basically we have 14,000 servers. These are logical servers. And we use a lot of mainframe. The banks, unfortunately, as everyone saying that the mainframe is dying, it's not true in the bank environment. The mainframe is not dying. The mainframe is growing. We need data in account also in our products. Other thing that we want to explain is the way that we do the things internally. We try to make a little bit of marketing internally in the company. And we have been trying from during the last years to build something internally with a set of brands that allow us to have the same kind of speaking in every country. Probably if you go right now to all of the different operations on the globe, more of the guys know these projects, and most of them are able to share with you what we're trying to accomplish. Is in an enterprise like us, that is a huge thing. Think that the goal with these specific brands was focusing the standardization, industrialization, and automation. If you see the numbers, for example, of a company like Google, they have like one system engineer every 3,000 servers, more or less. You see our numbers, we have one system engineer every 30 servers or 40 servers, more or less. That is something that we need to change. We need to be able to be more efficient and to be able to do more with the same people. And that's part of the goals that we are trying to accomplish with this cloud road. I'm going to show you what's the typical evolution of the cloud. You see all the different slides around all there. Most of them start with at the beginning was the mainframe. Then we have the typical high-end Unix systems. Then everyone starts to move to x86, away from the big systems. Then they go to the cloud. This is not our case. Our case was more or less in this way. We enter with the mainframe. Then we move to the big unit systems. Then we start to move into x86. Then the mainframe eats the big unit systems. It doesn't go away, it gets bigger. The x86, we start to thinking about moving to the cloud. Then we have a problem that gets us in the Middle East, the regulators. No, they came over here and say, no, you cannot do that. You say, why? You say, it's not safe. But you could define for me what is safe? No, we think that this is not the time. Then you can do that in this way. I say, okay, let's go and try other approach. Let's go and be in the private cloud. And that's the thing that we're trying to build right now. Trying to build some kind of private cloud that we need to fit in the different regulations across the globe and in the different kind of technologies. That is something that usually when you define a product, it's quite complex to take in consideration. The things like the things that are not funny at all, like compliance. The things like audits. These are something that when you're trying to put up there, you never, you never find it easily in the open source project. That is other thing that we're trying to work with the OpenNebula community to put some of these capabilities inside, because we need that, and we think that sharing that also with the community, we are able to get some traction in the enterprise world. And let's go enter a little bit on detail in our implementation, in our software. How we do that and how we are trying to get forward. At the beginning, we define what is the cloud for us. Because the cloud, everyone has their own definition. We define this set of characteristics, and we define how we're going to try from get to one side to another. It's more or less a typical definition. We start at the beginning with the infrastructure as a service, but we don't want to stop over there. We want to be more to move more up to the platform as a service, and we're trying to go in that way also. We define a set of characteristics that we start to use. One is the resource pooling. This is something that usually with the virtualization itself, we have more or less covered, but we think that it to be more use-friendly, mostly for our teams in development. Then we try to put in all the things related with DC services, with activities, with auto-provisioning. We are trying also to put over there a lot of effort in the orchestration. We are going to, in this first state, we are going to keep with the private cloud. We don't have plannings in order to move to the cloud, public cloud. We don't think that this is the time yet. And we are not focused at the moment with the billing itself. Because we are an internal shop, it's not so important for us. Other thing that I want to take into consideration is all the things that we think that the software-defined data center is the way to go. That this will be the future. If you see all the different initiatives in the open source space and also in the company's space, this is the next big thing. And then we think when we start working with the cloud idea, we think that could be a good idea to put the cloud and the software-defined concept all together. And we think that the software-defined, it's very well established in the compute, but the network and the storage are not far behind. And we think that in the next years, we're going to see a lot in this space. And then we start to make some tests. We test virtually a lot of commercial solutions, a lot of them based on proprietary stacks. We also make some tests with the open source. You see, what the problem with the commercial solution is, if you're able to fit yourself in that, it works. No, it's not a bad idea. But if you need to start changing things, you need to start to interconnect things together, it's not a good idea at all. Because they try to move very slowly, and it depends on the different vendors. Then we think that was not a good idea for us in order to implement these capabilities that we need from the regulator itself. And then we have the open source solution that have the flexibility and interesting cost point. And as you know, there are two of them, OpenStack and OpenNebula. There are more, but we test OpenStack and OpenNebula. In our case, we think that OpenStack is great from a technology point of view, but it's not so great from an end user point of view. What I'm trying to say with that is, I think that they're doing a lot of great things from a pure technology. They have they're trying to innovate in things like the object storage. They're trying to innovate in a lot of technical things. But if you want to go there and want to use directly the OpenStack, there is no possibility to do that. You need to go through a vendor. Then you go into the way, because it's open source, but it's vendor-based. And we think that the OpenNebula model fits best for us. Apart is working with Ignacio and Ruben and the rest of the team have been great. They are very focused in helping us. One of the things that they say is, okay, is we are not trying to build something open source itself. It's quite complex to explain when you go to the board and say, okay, we are not going with AVM, we are not going with VMware, we are not going with that guy, we are going with the open source. They say, okay, why? And we cannot say because it's cheap, because they say, okay, we need to balance the risk. And at the first, we need to try to explain what is the open source for us. And the open source for us is not about cheap or free. The open source for us is about the possibility to change the things, to work together as a community and be able to give back some things. As you say, we are a very strong IT company. Then what we're trying to do right now is use that strength that during the last year have been mostly taken from the community and used internally to a way to collaborate with the community and work together. This is a transformation that goes slowly because you need to change the mindset of the people, and that is not easy. The people need to start working like when a problem arises, it's not carrying a number and saying, okay, my job is done. They start to, when a problem arises, they need to resolve and work together with the community to implement the fix. But we think that fits very well our IT strategy. That is balance the risk, get some efficiencies, and be innovative at the same time. I think the open source is the next natural step for companies like us. And then we go to the reason is why OpenNebula. It meets our technical requirements. Now we see that for our approach, that the beginning is use tier 2 world laws. It fits very well our technical requirements. Also, the OpenNebula governance model adapts our needs better than other products. I think that kind of, I don't know if Ignacio will like or not, the benevolent dictatorship, it helps a lot to a product in the first stage to change and adapt very quickly to change. Other thing is a mature product. They have been over there for several years. Then you could rely on the company is able to keep forward the project. And also they have a very close technical support. It's a total different experience to deal directly with the guys that do the things than to deal with the guy that deal with the guy that deal with the guy that do the things. And that changed a lot of the feelings, and when you enter and you're going to get a problem, you're able to resolve very quickly. Then all the technical team get the empowerment to, they get the empowerment to understand the situation very well. You start to understand better the tool. If you do that with a typical provider, it's not so easy. It's very complex to get access to the core team. With the OpenNebula community, it's quite easy to get in touch with the core team, and most of the people work very well in the situations. Other things that I'm not going into detail because there's other presentation in the afternoon. It's when we start to use OpenNebula, it fits very well all the things related with the infrastructure itself, but we need some basic infrastructure services in order to be able to give the services to our customers. and there was nothing like that over there. One of the things that we do is we sponsor the project of VApps. We are part of the sponsor of the VApps project, and we build a set of basic services that cover the most standard thing that you need. When you start doing something, you need DNS, you need some kind of proxy, you need a load balancer, some kind of firewall. Then we start working with them and building these applications, and to be able to be a good fit with our OpenNebula environment. The next step that we're doing right now in the software part is we're working with C2G and OpenNebula in order to implement some features that we think that will be useful for us and useful for the community. The first one is the OBF import. We are working right now with them in a project in order to be able to giving that back to the community, the possibility of import this kind of image. We are a very huge VMware shop in the standard infrastructure. Then for us, it's very important this functionality. Other things, the multi-virtual data center support. This is not the current VDC that the OpenNebula have implemented. It's more related with a multi-tenant approach that fits the way that we will our data centers. It's related with the capabilities to assign resources and availability zones to specific users and be able to manage independently. And the last step will be the integration between OpenNebula and VApps in order to be able to manage from the different pane of glass both systems. And all of this integration we want to give it back to the community. Other thing that we have is that the cloud itself needs to live in the hardware. No, we speak always about the software, but the hardware is a very important piece of that. And also is it's a piece that if you are able to working with your infrastructure team, you get a lot of savings in the way that you are able to build the data centers, in the way that you are using the heat dissipation, the power consumption. When you have few data centers around the globe, this will make a critical point for you. Every percentage that you save over there is money that you don't pay to the utility, and that is always good. Then our goal with the hardware is we think that we're trying to build a reference design for tier 2 workloads. We are not going to replace everything that we have with the cloud at the beginning. It's more a phased approach. Then we are going to start with the applications that are not critical business applications. In order to that, we are thinking mostly in things like analytics, like Hadoop workloads, things like grid, things that have the capabilities in the application itself to deal with any problem in the infrastructure layer. You think the traditional applications always rely on that the infrastructure is never going to fail, or you're building on you need to put a cluster in order to allow that. And most of the time, this cluster was the main reason that you have an outage. The cluster fails and get a data corruption, and you are dead. Then we try to, in the beginning in the cloud, we're trying to put the software that have been designed, thinking that the hardware itself could fail. And the software needs to be able to adapt to this failure and keep it running. Other goal for us, I say, is the efficiency and cooling. We want to reduce the total cost of our seed in our acquisitions. Think that buying a server from a vendor and putting a maintenance in place is a lot of money. Then one of the things we're trying to do is, okay, why we need to put a maintenance of that server if we're able to, if we have an outage, the application itself is able to reroute to other servers. Then we don't need anymore to have 24/7/4 response time. And that is and if we don't need that kind of support, we can open our minds and look into other providers. At the beginning, we use a typical approach for building our cloud. Basically, we use some kind of, this is one of our standard racks for the cloud environments, with some storage in the back, some servers, and some communications using the vendors that we have. It was great. You get some efficiencies if you build one rack instead of building the components by itself. But we discovered in that point also the Open Compute initiative. I don't know if you know that. The Open Compute is an initiative of Facebook for developing open source hardware. And in the year 2011, it was transferred to the Open Compute Foundation. The goal is just enable the development of efficiency servers. And that is basically all vanity-free. I'm going to see some examples. The server doesn't have any kind of, all the things that there are no need in order to run the server have been stripped off. And they are doing this in a lot of projects. They are doing this in servers itself, I say, in storage. They are building some kind of building blocks in order to build to use storage as a software-defined storage based on these building blocks. They have some kind of design in order to how do you need to design the data center in order to be efficient from an electrical point of view and a dissipation and hot dissipation point of view. They are also building in virtual I/O in order to mix together these components and building things using the standard components. Itself has some, when you need to manage thousands of servers, the management part of that is very important. They be able to identify where the failure is and be able to have that in a standardized way. You're thinking, I could say you that we have guys in data centers that their only job is just upgrade the firmware code of the servers all the day. They trying to put also a new way to do that with a standard interface. And they are starting right now in order to develop in a switch, a standard switch, top of the rack switch, that will be able to run Linux or mostly an open-defined, software-defined software, a software-defined network approach. The goals of the project itself are great. They're trying to, the PE is the efficiency with the electricity that enters on the data centers and the information that we use. Our data centers are a little bit lower than 1.9. We are in the new ones, we are in 1.2 more or less, but there is room for the efficiency in getting to this hardware model. And we already found some providers around the globe that are able to build in servers on that specification. We are working with Quanta, and this is the kind of server that you buy. You see there is nothing that the standard server have. It's just a small strip with the two processors, the disk and the memory. That's all. But the good thing is that you cover with that more or less the needs of the standard world rack. One of the good things that we are building and we are working right now is we are making tests with this hardware on OpenNebula, and we are going to share back the results with the community. We think that could be a good fit. The open source software and the open source hardware working together in order to build in the cloud. And that's the kind of thing that we are trying to commit back. We have the people and the expertise in order to make the test labs without the equipment, bringing it back to in this case to Spain, to put in the lab and work together during several weeks doing the testings. And that's all. We're going to give some time for the questions. I'm open to discuss almost everything. Let's go. Over there.
Yes, you said you are working with OpenNebula for support. You said you were pleased with the direct support you're having with OpenNebula. Do you have a paid support plan with OpenNebula, or do you go through the standard MultiVDC and standard development?
We are working on that. We have we make some initial profiling of our needs, and we are now building the things that we see in the software that we need in order to go directly to the page support, but we are going to have a page support. We think that in our case we need page support. Oh, sorry. The question was is we are using any kind of page support with OpenNebula, and yes, we are going to use page support with OpenNebula.
I have a question because there is a lot of debate about cloud APIs. So my question is, you planning to use any cloud API, I mean Amazon API or OCC API, or just to expose the graphical user interface?
No, we need to use, the question was if we're planning to use any cloud API or using directly the graphical interface. We need to use a API in order to make the integration with our tools. Thinking that in our environment, we have a lot of investment in the monitoring area, we have a lot of investment in the application side. Then the goal at the end is to be able to integrate these tools with the cloud, and we need to use the API for that. We are starting most using the graphic interface, but at the end, we need to be able to integrate with the API. Definitely. We don't have decided which API yet. No, we are in this case open. We prefer to get the standard, but we are open yet. I think that the API in the cloud is already be defined at the moment. No, it's yes.
My question concerns the adaptations that you mentioned. You said that you preferred open source because in that way you could adapt the software, the platform to cope with your regulatory needs. Could you mention some example of things you had to adapt or modify?
Okay. The question was that why we prefer the open source, and here will be some examples about the adaptations that we need to comply with regulatory things that we haven't done at the moment. For example, one of the things is not related itself with OpenNebula, but it's related itself with the Linux. We are a heavy user of Linux. We have deployed during the last year for these servers around 12,000 have been deployed as Linux. But the Linux have a problem itself. If you go to the different tools that they use in Linux, you don't have traceability of the administrator usage. And we need to be able to trace every command that the root puts in the machines. Then we are working with the guys in the sudo team and with the guys in Red Hat in order to build that. We expect in Red Hat 6.5 have some of that functionality over there. And also with the project that is called Free IPA, we have been working with them very hard in order to implement the accountability that we need. And in Red Hat 7, we expect to have more of the fusion that we need in this case. In the specific case with OpenNebula, one of the things that we are asking is related with the MultiVDC, what we call MultiVDC. We need to be sure that our application runs in different sets of failure zones, and that is something that have been not implemented in OpenNebula, and we are going to implement that when the different regulators come to us and asking how we assure that we have the services available all the time. We need to explain that we have that functionality that put the world laws, some kind of affinity rules with the world laws, but building as a complete set of features. And that is something that is just related with the need that we have to be sure that the information runs in two different sets of data centers. We don't explain that in these slides, but in the way that we will our current infrastructure, we have one campus. Inside of this campus, we have two data centers, two physical data centers, and we will, on top of that, one logical data center, interconnecting all the networks, the storage networks, the data networks together. You'll be able to run the load in on any one of these two data centers. We have 6 campuses around the globe, 6 big corporate data centers.
What were the triggers and the rationales which made you saying that, okay, let's go for the cloud? Because you're a heavy industry,
we see the cloud as the question was what were the triggers that make us to move to the cloud. We see the cloud as a devolution of virtualization, and we see the cloud as a way to increase the efficiencies. No, we see that in our current environment, we need a lot of people that are doing process. You see our workflows tools. We enter a service in production that we got in the data center. We get that in productions. That is like 20 steps. And we see the cloud as a way to make that automation orchestration. The cloud itself within that is that. It's make the automation orchestration in a standardized way. And we are betting on that. It's not, we don't expect anything fancy about that. It's more like more standardization, more automation in order to increase the efficiency of our operations. That's all.
And could we know the budget involved so far?
What?
The budget involved so far?
Or AT budget or the budget in the cloud?
In the cloud.
We are not investing so much. Thinking that we are, as an IT shop, we move around 2 billion euros per year. Then we are mostly in a test environment. Right now, with the hardware acquisitions, the software that we're doing, we are investing like 1 million, something like that. But it's a very small amount of our, if you see the big picture, it's a very small amount of money. More questions? We have time, because I made the presentation very, very quick. Okay, one question.
So I think I read that you were going to do some benchmarking on the OCP and OpenNebula. So what kind of benchmarks do you plan on running?
The question is, we are going to make a benchmarking with OCP and OpenNebula. The goal is we are not going to benchmark OCP versus OpenNebula. Our goal is to benchmark OCP versus standard hardware, and then taking a look to the OCP capabilities and the OpenNebula capabilities, thinking in ways to put the both things together and what's better. For example, one of the things that we could do in Open Compute is we call it taking the BIOS of the server itself and put some features that we need in order to be able, for example, to be a standard auto provision of the bare metals, but in a standardized way. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to start to thinking about the different vendors, because most of them say that they do in the standard way. Then when you start to make the things, it's not so standard. But using this kind of hardware, I think that it could make a good fit. Things like integrate this auto provision of bare metal in OpenNebula, for example. Then you put one rack, and you get the out-of-the-box servers in the auto provisioning the specific racks or availability zones or whatever. You think this kind of approach, you cannot go and buy one server. You need to buy at least one rack, and they sell you by thousands. You cannot go and say, okay, let's go and build in just one rack. You need to buy several number of racks. I think that the minimum that they're asking, because this goes directly from the ODM, is around 1,000 servers, is the minimum entry points. Then you need to be very sure about if you're going to bet or not in that, because if you bet 1,000 servers at the beginning and you fail, it's a lot of money. In the OpenNebula project, we're using KVM, but we are also a heavy user of VMware. With the standard workloads, currently we are on VMware. In the cloud, we are with KVM and the Red Hat. We're using Red Hat as the operating system. Yes. Mm-hmm.
But have you investigated the use of private cloud services provided by large IT providers?
Yes, we have been approached by several of them. The main problem is that when you make the numbers, if you are going to use the machines all the day, usually it's better to do your own. You know, they're trying to sell they're trying to sell the service in a premium, not in efficiency. What we're trying to do in the way is we are working with them. Things like the grid for specific workloads that we have during 1 day per month, things like that. Things that we do a lot of risk calculation. We are just thinking with them, saying, okay, let's go and say me, what is the time where do you have load in your data centers, and I'm going to use that time to make my calculations. But we need to ask for the price for that. But if you think about if you're going to use all the time the capacity, it's better to do your own. And we are very fortunate in that because the people doesn't go to the banks to do it. You know, you see our usage traffics or traffic stats. They are very, 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 very similar all the different days. You know, we can say you tomorrow what will be workload in 2 weeks, because the people doesn't go to the bank because something funny happens or a new project arises. They go usually when they get the money. They usually to check the balance. They are very stable workload. In this case, we are able to very quickly to say which will be your needs in the next months or in the next years from a power usage for a server user perspective. And if you get the part of this elasticity out of the equation, it's better to have your own hardware. Okay, guys, I think we're done. Any questions? As guys, I will be over here all the day. If you have any other question or you think anything I could be able to help you guys, let me know. Thank you.